so often. Like what she did, she made the extraordinary so ordinary.
Yeah.
Like when you think about that, like where she shot from ease and still does. But were any of you here when she broke the record from here? The way, I mean, she just came out, bam, bam, bam. It's like,
Did you get that? Jensen just said that Caitlin Clark made the extraordinary seem normal. But this is crazy. Even that wasn't the most telling thing she said. You will not believe what she says about Caitlin's change later. And by the end of this movie, you'll understand why the Indiana Fever's front office made the biggest mistake in WNBA history. Most people think they know what happened at Caitlin Clark's college pro game. They're not right. Everything changes when Jensen talks about these 3 designs.
I'll never forget it. This place was like, boom. She came down and you could see she kind of wanted to throw the run out to Hannah Stalky.
Yeah.
But then she was kind of covered, but she came and had a little behind the back and
move.
let that thing launch. And then when that thing hit and it broke the record, I think the fans
I remember
that
when
were
she
here,
did this, guys.
they, the loudness factor.
Yeah.
They didn't think it ever. But
Jan just told you about the time Caitlin broke the record. Now watch what she does next. This isn't just about a basketball shot. It was something she talked about that made Carver Arena burst louder than it ever had been. This is what most people missed. Jan thought Caitlin did a great job. And it's not at all. That's the key phrase right there. Because Caitlin's fever made it hard for her to do more than just shoot. They took away everything about her, which made her the most exciting basketball player ever. We are now going to look at how this happened, and why it is a problem now.
if he hits this, he will
I know.
never,
I'm
ever let
telling
us
you
know
right
that.
now.
Look at how far that is, guys.
It's another basketball.
I know. I believe in you. Looks good. Yeah! That's who he is right there.
That is so good, Travis Powell.
That was great.
Hashtag athlete.
They're pretty much standing where Caitlin took the shot that set the record. And Jean's response makes sense of everything. It's never been done by someone on the first try. What does that mean to you? For more than 20 years, Jensen has been a coach at Iowa and has seen thousands of players try the shot. He has never seen anyone else make it on the first try. Not even close. But here's the catch. That is the exact range from which Caitlin shot at Iowa during the season. Those Logo 3 South weren't just a fluke. They weren't trying to show off. They were her real weapon, the thing that set her apart from other competitors and made her invincible. The coaches for Stephanie White told her to stop. Take a moment to think about it. The Fever locked up the most dangerous tool in women's basketball. We'll talk about why that choice went wrong. First though, listen to what Lisa Bluter has to say about Caitlin's point of view.
Same building space city, but watching everything blow up.
It was rewarding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you dream of, right? It's what you want, what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve. And it really hit me when we had the crossover in Kinnick. People have asked me, what were your highlight moments? And, certainly the championship games were highlight moments. But the crossover in Kinnick to me is more meaningful because we took over.
Lisa Bluter just said something really important. She thought the Kinnick Stadium crossing was more important than the title games. Take that in. More important than fighting for the national title. Why? Because only 55 of the 500 people who came to see women's basketball in a football stadium actually went. Women in the crowd cried because of what it meant. But this is what's really going on below the surface. Lisa is talking about the fullest form of the Caitlin Clark effect. No longer was it just about hoops. There was a societal movement or moment going on here. Lisa's voice gets emotional when she talks about it. The thought of it gives her chills. Pay close attention when she talks about teaching Caitlin behind the scenes. What she says next will completely change how you see Caitlin's first WNBA season.
I think the best part about coaching Caitlin was just seeing her behind the scenes. Just being a part of her life off the basketball court too. I mean, the basketball court provided all the wow moments, right? I mean, I got wow moments in practice, seeing some of the things that she did, the passes she made, and the scoring, and just the lack of fear that she had. But to me, the highlights is probably the fun times, being in COVID and
Heard that shift. Lisa just changed the subject from crazy basketball antics to something much more serious. Usually the times that were most memorable are the ones that were fun. The silly Caitlin is what she means, who laughs out loud and loves deeply, and then she drops this bomb. She loves you very much once she has earned your trust. That's not coach talk. Lisa is telling you that Caitlin Clark is the kind of person who gets close to people she trusts. This makes it even harder for the Fever to teach because no one is connecting. Caitlin worked with Lisa and Jan for 4 years to build trust. 4 years of inside jokes and lockdowns in San Antonio because of COVID. Live, love, laugh, and be lucky was their motto until they turned 16. That's family. That's how Caitlin became the player she is now. Then Indiana picks her up, and in one season, everything changes. We have a new coach, a new method, and new goals. But wait until Lisa tells you about the hardest part of teaching Caitlin. This is where things really get interesting.
sometimes she can be a little stubborn, and as I can be as well. And so that can be this sometimes, but the good thing is that she was always willing to learn, and she wanted to be her best. So she would take it. She took coaching, like she wanted to be coached. But the hardest thing, and I've said this before, is that, the transformation from high school to college, I don't think was really easy for her. She didn't understand how to play with other teammates because in high school, she did everything, on her own.
This is really strange. Lisa just recently said that Caitlin was stubborn just like her. Two people who don't want to work together try to do so. That will lead to fireworks. Then, though, she shows something about Caitlin's game that most people had missed. Caitlin had a hard time making the switch from high school to college because she didn't know how to play with her friends. In high school, she could win games by herself, so why should she change? This is the part that will blow your mind. Lisa really heard Caitlin say, "Well, they're not shooting as much as I am." Lisa told her, "Well, you're not going to the gym with them." That is real tough love. That is a coach scolding a superstar for not helping her friends get better. Now let me explain why this is so important for understanding Fever. Lisa is talking about how Caitlin learned over the course of several years how to be a good teammate, accept other players, and share the attention. Lisa says that by the time she left Iowa, Caitlin had become a great partner. You could feel their love and friendship for each other through the heat. So, if Caitlin had learned those skills at Iowa, what went wrong with her first season? Why did the plot change to her having to adapt? We're about to make some links that most people have missed.
Yeah, I'm a Chicago girl, so I don't make Michael Jordan comparisons very often, but there are a few things that stand out, whether that's the famous practice where her team was down and she came back and whatever it was, scored an insane number of points in 1 minute. We've heard about that with Jordan and the Dream Team practices, or if it's figuring out how to harness competitiveness and a desire for everyone to be as good as you are into making people better instead of frustrating them or condescending them. And we've seen that journey for her. It's really hard. It's not an easy thing to do, especially as a young person, but that ability to turn that into greatness instead of something that holds you back clearly is something she's continuing to work on, and it's just going to make her even better and better.
Lisa Bluter just said that she is like Michael Jordan. She doesn't often draw those connections. The fact that she's from Chicago suggests something, and what she's comparing is huge. When Caitlin's team was down, she came back and scored an amazing amount of points in 1 minute, just like Jordan did in the Dream Team workouts. But then Lisa shows how they really are alike. Being competitive and wanting everyone to be as good as you can be a lot of work. Not the points or the highlights, but that is what makes Jordan unique. The ability to make other people better without making them feel bad or putting them down. And this is why it's so important. Lisa thinks it's pretty hard, especially for someone that young. The job wasn't easy, but Caitlin was up to it. She was getting better at it. That is, Caitlin wasn't just a blank slate when she got the Fever. She was a star. She had already grown and changed over the years. She already knew what to do. People who said her first season didn't help her friends get better were not taking into account what Lisa Bluter just told us. The building block was already there. There was something else going on. You will change everything you thought you knew about the first WNBA season after hearing what Lisa has to say about the poison that was around the Caitlin Angel Reese fight.
I'm disappointed. I was disappointed in that because there is so much else to talk about. And these are two young women that are just starting their careers and, don't need that extra pressure or that extra, they don't need that. I mean, it was all created by the media, and that's unfortunate for those two players. So I'm really sad that happened, because I don't want the WNBA to get attention or get viewership because of those type of things. I want it to get viewership because of the great play, the great game that we have. Let's support that and quit talking about this other.
Lisa just talked about being sad. Not shocked, but let down. Pay attention to how she puts it. We can talk about a lot more. And these two young women are just starting out at their jobs and don't need any extra stress. This sentence, on the other hand, should make everyone stop and think. The media made everything happen. Everything. There was hate, poison, and the impression that these two players didn't like each other. Everything is made. Lisa's reason for being upset. Because of the trouble, she doesn't want the WNBA to get more attention or fans. She wants people to watch because the game and play are so good. But this is what's really going on below the surface. While the media made up this fake competition and used fake drama to get millions of views, they were destroying something real. Caitlin Clark's real game was put at risk. That which made her a player was being taken away, but no one noticed because they were too busy arguing about whether she was better than Angel Reese. This is a clear case of misleading. Keep everyone's attention on the fake argument while the real story comes out in the background. The real story is about how Caitlin played between Iowa and Indiana.
The best part about coaching Caitlin was just seeing her behind the scenes. Just being a part of her life off the basketball court too. I mean, the basketball court provided all the wow moments, right? I mean, I got wow moments in practice, seeing some of the things that she did, the passes she made, and the scoring, and just the lack of fear that she had. But to me, the highlights is probably the fun times, being in COVID and going down to San Antonio and being locked in the La Quinta Hotel with your team.
Excuse me, I'm sure it wasn't Inns and Suites.
We had a slogan: live, love, life, La Quinta.
Amazing.
And that's what we lived by till we got to move on.
It sounds different now. So let's listen to what Jensen said at the start. She made the unusual seem like nothing special. Think about where she shot, where she is shooting now, and the pause. Jan is catching herself though, since Caitlin doesn't shoot from that spot very often anymore. Not when you have a fever or when you're in the WNBA. This is clear to Jan, her voice lets you know. She hit it with a behind-the-back pass and broke the record. It looked easy when Carver Arena blew up. But this is what Jan really means. That Caitlin, the one who made the extraordinary ordinary and jumped right out of the image, was the one that Iowa fans loved. The one that broke records is that one. That's the version that the Fever tried to change. I have a question for you now. Should the most dangerous shooter in basketball history stop shooting from far away where no one else could even try? Do you want to ask her to play it safer and follow the rules? Because that is exactly what took place. The stats and shot charts show how Caitlin's game improved, or worsened, over the course of her first season.
Is sometimes she can be a little stubborn, and as I can be as well. And so that can be this sometimes, but the good thing is that she was always willing to learn, and she wanted to be her best. So she would take it. She took coaching, like she wanted to be coached. But the hardest thing, and I've said this before, is that, the transformation from high school to college, I don't think was really easy for her. She didn't understand how to play with other teammates, because in high school she did everything, on her own.
And you could win that way. Yeah.
Right. And so now it's like, well, you've got to embrace your teammates. One thing she said to me one time is, well, they're not shooting as much as I am. And I'm like, well, you're bringing them to the gym with you. Yeah. So she learned those things. She learned how to be a great teammate. And that was probably one of the hardest, lessons that we had to teach her. But now I watch her with the Fever, and I think she's a great team.
Lisa Bluter is writing about something that most people have never seen. Caitlin behind the scenes. The La Quinta Hotel in San Antonio is now locked down by COVID. The person whose motto is live, love, laugh, lucky. When Caitlin isn't being funny, she's just being herself. It's great to be with this person. He has a big heart and is funny. This is very important because of this. Caitlin did very well in that setting and with that team mindset. There, she became the player who broke records and drew huge crowds. Not everything was about basketball skills. It was about faith, happiness, and being able to be herself on and off the court. Now compare that to her first season in the WNBA. When she played in a new city with teammates she didn't know, was followed around by the media everywhere she went, was constantly criticized, was hit much harder than most rookies are, and was told by her coaches that they wanted her to play differently than they had for 4 years. What happens when someone is taken from a place where things are going well and put in a place where things are going badly? That level of competition doesn't hurt them because they've lost their skills. It hurts them because everything that made them great is taken away: joy, trust, and freedom. And we saw the same thing in Indiana.
Same building space city, but watching everything blow up.
It was rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's what you dream of, right? It's what you want, what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve. And it really hit me when we had the crossover in Kinnick. You know, people have asked me, like, you know, what were your highlight moments? And, you know, I mean, certainly the championship games were highlight moments. But the crossover in Kinnick to me is more meaningful because we took over Kinnick Stadium. We put a basketball floor down there, invited people to come in. And we had over 55,500 people there. And for that, you know, there was women crying in the audience because they were so moved by what was happening for women's athletics.
Lisa just told Caitlin the hardest lesson they had to teach her. She learned to be friendly with her friends and understand that just because she shoots more doesn't mean everyone else isn't trying as hard. They are not coming with you to the gym. That was a good moment to coach right there. But this is very important because of this. Lisa says Caitlin learned these things. She learned how to work well with others. When Lisa looked at her with the fever after she left Iowa, she saw friendship, joy for each other, and someone who had adopted the team basketball ideas. Let's connect this to what Jensen said earlier about the image trees. Why would the Fever teaching staff need to change Caitlin's plan if she already knew how to be a great teammate and how to make the team successful with her own brilliance? Why would they tell her not to shoot as far away? Why would they want to make her more like the norm? The answer is starting to become clear. The goal wasn't to make her a better coworker. It wasn't to help her get used to playing professional sports. It had to do with fitting her into a system that wasn't made for people like her. A system that couldn't handle a player who did something that wasn't allowed. Everything began to fall apart after that. Going back to what Lisa said about Kinnick Stadium is important because it connects everything. She said that because of what it meant, it was more important than the title games. About 5,500 people show up to watch women's hoops. What was going on in women's sports made women in the crowd cry because it moved them so much. People raised $4 million for the Children's Hospital. Next came this line, which showed what women can do when they work together and help each other. It's not just a basketball game. This is about an event. That's about Caitlin Clark's rise to fame outside of basketball. Show people what's possible when you don't settle for less. When you do those logo shots, even though everyone tells you not to. When you take something extraordinary and make it seem normal. Also, this is what the Fever front office didn't get. The basketball player, Caitlin Clark, is tied to the cultural phenomenon Caitlin Clark in a way that can't be separated. They are the same person. The logo threes aren't just shots. They put out a message. They show in the body that you don't want to be limited by other people's rules. If you take those away and tell her to be more careful, you're not just telling her to change the shots she takes. You're telling her to be someone she's not. She is being asked to play little. Exactly the same thing happened in Indiana's first season with the new coaching team. It's important to know what Jensen and Lisa Bluter really said in these talks in order to understand what's going on with Caitlin Clark right now. They showed a player who had spent 4 years learning how to use their great skill as part of a team. Someone who didn't know how to play with their friends at first but came to love and trust them. She was someone who made the amazing seem normal because she was free to be herself. Then she joined the WNBA and everything changed. The Fever's old coaching team tried to make her look like a typical model. They told her to back off on the logo three so that she could play more safely within the system. This made her happy start to fade. there was less and less freedom. She started to lose sight of the thing that made her unique under the weight of professional basketball demands. But here is the trouble with generations being smart. You can't teach them the same way everyone else does. They won't work with your system. They must be at the center of your system. Lisa Bluter and Jensen knew that to be true. That's why Caitlin did so well at Iowa. They didn't try to change. They gave her the building blocks she needed. Teamwork, faith, and accepting coworkers are at the heart of the lessons. After that, they let her be amazing. They let her take off from the sign. Some passes were open to her that no one else would try. She was able to beat Caitlin Clark. In the end, it led to the best college basketball success.